So I am a UX UI designer, and I'm inspired by this because I studied abroad in college, and I absolutely love traveling, and this quote pretty much sums up my life and my inspiration for the project. So the agenda today is I'll go over the introduction, the research that I did, the insights, the persona that I created, the prototype, and followed by next steps. So a brief overview, the industry that I'm working on is travel and tourism. I'm targeting adults 25 to 35 who enjoy traveling. I'm designing for an iOS mobile app, and I had 2 weeks to do this project. So the main problem that I'm trying to solve was how might we simplify the travel planning process so users can achieve their travel goals in an affordable way. The design goals are to make travel planning more simple, imaginative, and enjoyable, to give users a realistic view of how much their prospective destination will cost so they can budget and plan accordingly. Some people have travel goals and they're not sure if they can make it there and how much money they actually need. So I want my design to be able to help that need. And I also want to make sure I appeal to users who know exactly where they want to go and to people who are just open to exploring. So from there, I conducted a survey to get a general idea of what people are thinking about traveling. And my survey results showed that 70% were actually female. They actually hit my demographic with being between 25 and 35 years old. And what was interesting is that 73% said that they start planning by choosing their destination, which I thought was very interesting considering that my other survey questions were targeted around budgeting, and I thought budgeting would be the main reason they would choose a destination, but there's an interesting tie between destination and budget. And that's what I wanted to explore with my project. So with the interviews, some of the key takeaways are that people were inspired to travel based on pictures that they've seen. Finding a cheap flight is actually a deciding factor as to whether or not they could actually travel. Some people find that travel planning is very stressful and overwhelming, and they like going to unique places, and if they spend less on flights, then maybe they'd be willing to spend more in other areas. So I did some competitive research just to get an idea of what is already in existence. And there's three different companies that I found. Travify, which is a travel itinerary builder, and that's somewhere where you can share content with with your family, with your friends when you're planning, and you can put all of your content in one. It helps you search for new destinations and offers ideas for activities, hotels, and foods and drinks. Expedia, a booking site for flights, hotels, car rentals, but they also offer all-inclusive packages, which would also simplify it for the user. So I consider them a competitor, and they also provide resources of what to do. And an indirect competitor I found was Pinterest. Since from my research and my interviews when I spoke to people, they all seem to be very driven on images. So Pinterest is a very popular social network where people go for inspiration using images. So I thought this would be a great tool. So why Pinterest? And I did some research on Pinterest, and 200 million people use Pinterest every single month. 93% of pinners use Pinterest to plan purchases, which would be really helpful in terms of booking travel. It also targets females, which the respondents to my survey were actually majority female as well. And within my age group, 80% of Pinterest users use the mobile app, which also inspired my design to do a mobile app, since this is what is working for Pinterest, so I want to model something similar. And the 40% of users actually have a really high income, which would also appeal to people who are planning on traveling. So I found an area of opportunity to inspire more travel through the use of visuals and budgeting tools to make travel goals more achievable. So my personas, I have Planning Patty. So travel is interesting because you have two different types of people. You have people who really like to plan, and you have people that are just free spirit and spontaneous. So Planning Patty is my primary persona. She's 33 years old, married, no kids, but she just graduated from school, so she has student debt, but she has the wanderlust that's in right now, and she really wants to travel. She's a workaholic, but she values time with her family, and she wants a better work-life balance. My secondary persona is Free Spirit Felicity, and she's spontaneous. She's a bartender, 26 years old, single, seeks new adventures, spontaneous, loves to discover new places, but finds planning very stressful, so she doesn't really plan. But what they do have in common is they're both millennials, and they both like social media, and they use Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. So after ideating, I came up with the feature prioritization, and the must-haves were the visuals for destinations and activities, since I want everything to be motivated by visuals. The ability to search specific destinations or to explore, to have the option to plan your actual trip through my app, and including pricing, so you're aligned with the budget that you have in mind, and notifications, because cheap flights were something that came up repeatedly in my interviews. The should-haves were suggested destinations, short trip ideas, all-inclusive options, and integration of social media. So my low fidelity, the first one, this would be the home page. So over here, this would be the home page. So I had a little globe and a search. 80% liked the fact that I had the popular destinations, that I have pictures on the home page. So this was good. The second page, 100% thought the information on this page would be helpful. This would be like a landing page for when you click on when you select your destination. Only thing is, it seemed like it was a lot of text. So a lot of people were asking, is it all going to be text, or is there going to be some more pictures here? So I took that into consideration. And then this last screen, 60% of my users, I tested five users, and they had no idea what this page was. And the idea is that after the concept of the app is to actually pin ideas to your board, so you're creating a travel board. So this last page is for you to see the contents of what's on your travel board, and I thought maybe I should divide it into different sections, and it was very confusing. So on my V2, I updated this screen here. So the homepage I also included budget-friendly cities, since I want to target people who are on a budget. 80% did mention the icons that I had on the bottom. They were like, what's the homepage and what's on Explore? And that was an excellent question because I couldn't even answer it, so I had to modify that. This screen, I also added more pictures for the top sites, so I don't just have text. So that was definitely a positive. And then on this final screen, when you open your travel board, it was more useful because I have the check marks there, so people understood that they were actually making their selections. But there's also text on there, and people were skipping it, so they had no idea what it meant to create a trip. So after my mid-fidelity, I'm thinking about colors and how I want this app to feel and how I want users to describe my brand. And the words that I came up with were fun, inspiring, optimistic, meaningful, and contemporary. And here's my mood board. I really wanted something vibrant and fun and adventurous to appeal to my target market. I did some desirability testing on this, and they all said it looked fun, optimistic, motivating, but the red seemed very bold and maybe a little bit too much. So I had to make some changes on that because I wanted it to still feel warm and friendly and inviting. And no one really got the idea of meaningful, but travel means a lot to me, and I was hoping that I conveyed that in the mood board. But I didn't, so I'm curving it more to like an energetic vibe, more adventure. So now I'm introducing Explore, which is my prototype. So this is the homepage, and Planning Patty would go to sign in with Facebook. I have a little wizard here, so you have an idea that you're actually pinning items to a board to get inspired for traveling. So you'll go to start exploring. You get to this home page where I have the images here. I have the pins here, so each image that has a pin, you'll be able to pin to your board. In this case, she knows exactly where she wants to go. So she's gonna type it in here. She wants to go to Santorini. She's planning a trip to Santorini, and she's starting to explore. So this is the content page. She's never heard of a red beach before, so she wants to pin that to her board. But she's never made a board before, so she's gonna go ahead and create a new board. She'll enter her name, the name of the board. She comes back, she loves this picture of Santorini. She adds that to her board, so it's nice and simple. And now she sees a nav bar on the bottom and sees that there's a flight option. So she can look for flights all in one place. And this is just exploratory for her, because she's not exactly ready to book, but my Planning Patty has an idea of where she wants to go and when she wants to go. So she'll put in her dates. And then here, she'll get flight results. So she can even pin these to her board as well, so she can keep everything on track. So you can even sort. She wants to go for the cheapest because she's budget friendly. She sees this one, the cheapest one. She wants to add that to her board. She goes ahead and does that. But then she has an option to notify her when prices change. So she goes ahead and adds that. Then she wants to explore hotels for her dates. So then she goes in, she puts in her dates, show me options. She has the list of all the hotels that are available for her dates. And then she can sort that by cheapest as well. So she'll go and do that. She takes a look. She doesn't want anything too high, but in Greece, there's something for $7 per night, which she probably never would have known. but she's gonna go with something in the middle. She likes volcano view, she takes a look, she likes the description, she sees that there's reviews, she sees the prices, she wants to go ahead and pin that to her board. So she pins that to her board, and then she wants to get out of this, and she wants to check to see what she can do in that place. So she goes to activities. So it's a pretty simple process, but as you can see, you can find a lot of different things here. And then let's say she likes one of these experiences. She likes the sunset tour, so she adds that. She likes the description, same thing. She pins that to her board, adds it. So then let's say that Planning Patty has used this app for a while. She's gonna go back in. Let's add this to her board. And then when she comes in as a returning user, she'll go back to the splash page, and she wants to see what she's actually pinned on her board. So she comes in, and she has a flight alert, and she opens it. It tells her that a flight has dropped. So this is giving her all the information that she needs. She wants to go inside and check her Santorini trip, and then she can add, she can see everything that she's pinned so far. And at the end, there's actually a feature where it's a cost estimator. So you can click on this, and here you can start clicking on different things, and you'll see the costs coming up on the bottom. And this will be a good gauge. This would be a good gauge to see how much she's actually spending. So she wanted the volcano view, she adds that. She wanted the full day tour, she wanted this, and now it's too expensive. So then she decides, like, maybe I can't afford this one, so I'm gonna take that off, and then I'll add the cheaper night, the one that's $32 per night, and that adjusts her costs. And from there, she'd be able to share that with her friends and family. And that's it.